Right, well, today we've seen that World of Warcraft has released Plunderstorm. It's been a week. I don't know if you guys have played Plunderstorm, but I've enjoyed it. I've been playing it. I've been having a lot of fun. It's very easy to get into. It's classless. You don't need to actually have a class to play and memorize their skills. You just pretty much load into the map. You pick up skills as you kill mobs of enemies, and that's it. The skills are very easy to learn. They're very easy to get a hang of. I've been enjoying it. WoW Plunderstorm to me is very engaging, very fun. Which is why I want to talk about why Guild Wars 2 should have done this as well. And I've talked about this years ago. I actually included this as something Guild Wars 2 should have done around 2020 when Fortnite was really popular. But I don't think it's too late, because Guild Wars 2 has a lot of benefit on how they could actually make a battle royale work. Reason for that is, first of all, WoW's Plunderstorm is a sub model, as in if you right now want to play Plunderstorm, you have to sub to WoW to play, which kind of sucks, to be honest. Like, if you just want to play that game mode as a new player. The second thing is, WoW's game is attached to Plunderstorm. So if you also wanted to download and just play Plunderstorm, you also have to download 90 gigabytes of World of Warcraft. Not very ideal. So you have the sub model, which you have to pay the $15 per month. It's attached to the main game. Minus the fact that it's a very good game mode. But I think if WoW were to make those differences, they could easily get more players. This is where I think Guild Wars 2 could honestly benefit. Guild Wars 2 is a free-to-play game first. If you buy the game, you get access to the rest of the game. But you can be a free-to-play player and still enjoy Guild Wars 2 to some extent, right? You can easily have 20 to 30 hours of this game before you're maybe locked into having to pay for it. And you just pay it once. You don't have to sub anything. Guild Wars 2 is a pay to play. That's it. One thing, no sub model. Just buy it and play it. So if Guild Wars 2 implemented a battle royale mode, it should be easier from history of how Guild Wars 2 operates. They hate sub models. So a battle royale mode would be a free model to play, which means people can download the game mode and enjoy it. You don't have to pay a sub model. So that's already a benefit that I could see happening. Second thing is the fact that Guild Wars 2 has a very fluid combat system. The combat system is very good. Sometimes kind of messes up because sort of you need to get the hang of it if you're coming from another MMO. But if you're a Guild Wars 2 player, everyone who's played Guild Wars 2 has talked about the combat system being very fluid. It's very dynamic, which is very fun. So in terms of the combat system, if they had a battle royale, it will already be very engaging. Now, how would they do it? I think, yeah, probably doing something similar to how WoW does it, where you basically load into a map, and in that map you pick up skills, right? Like you'll defeat or open chests from random points in the map, or defeat a random NPC mob, right? And then you just get like the skill that you pick up, and it fills out your skill bar. I don't think it needs to fill out your entire skill bar. I think if it was just like 1 to 5, it's more than enough. I think you could have like maybe a utility here or there, right? So maybe like 6 skills, 7 skills max. I think that would be fine. I don't think they need the full 10 skills. I think that would be perfect. You have like maybe, let's say, a combination of like, let's say 5 attack skills, 5 utility skills, right? So then, and 1 heal skill. So then if you have, let's say, 6 to 7 slots, you slot them in accordingly. That should make it easier. In my opinion, I think like if they copied that from WoW, that should be a no-brainer. Because you don't want to have a class system in the game. I think having a class system in BR will also allow players to kind of get confused. So I think having it where you just pick up abilities would be fine. Guild Wars 2 kind of has something similar where you have like weapons, right? Like toys. Like, for example, you could like pick up that toy weapon axe and kind of like whack people with it. You have the blaster gun, the birthday blaster. They kind of have the system. They've already had it in place in some years. They already have a system called South Sun Survival. You know, you have like the keg brawl as well, which is... It's basically sort of like a mini game of Battle Royale, but it's not exactly that. So I think with ANET already having the system in place, the combat system being very fun and engaging, I don't see how they can't implement a battle royale, minus the fact that there is development costs associated with getting it done. And ANET has proven that they make a lot of, their money from the gem store. They release skins, people buy the skins. ANET makes a lot of their money, everyone knows this, is from the gem store, right? A lot of ANET's income comes through putting cosmetics on the gem store, and people really like them and they really buy them up, right? Second is the expansions, of course, minus any other things that people, might buy, right? So more or less, that's ANET's main way to make money. That's their bread and butter. So BRs, more or less, already cater to that, right? Reason why WoW is a little bit of mess is because it's a sub model right now, and there are alternatives to World of Warcraft Battle Royale. Like, you can play Fortnite, it's literally free, and then you can just buy skins if you want in Fortnite. You can buy the battle pass for like extra XP. Call of Duty Warzones was basically the same thing. You didn't have to download even the main Call of Duty game. You just download the Warzone map and you're okay. Like, it's separated from the main game, right? So there's already a lot of alternatives to WoW that already make it annoying for them to have the sub model if they're trying to attract new players. Whereas in Guild Wars 2, they can follow the same system because they implement the same system, right? Guild Wars 2 doesn't charge people except once. You just buy the game to play. So they could make a BR mode separate or free and rely on the gem store for cash sales. And yeah, I know Apex Legends has a class system that can work. I mean, with Apex, they can kind of do it. Like with Guild Wars 2, you can maybe make it where you have like your, let's say, the variety of skills that you can pick up from the mode, right? You can build either like a tanky player in the matchup, or you can build like an attack player or a support player, right? This will depend on how many people they group up in the mode, right? Like WoW did a solo and duo mode. Other BRs allow up to 4 players a team. Should Guild Wars 2 do up to 4 players? I don't know. That would be very interesting, but also reliant on the fact that people will pick up the game. So I think a solo and duo is fine to start with, right? So then with the duo, you just have someone who has a tanky sort of build to help heal, and the other player would be like a more attack player. They can come up with the utilities and the attack skills very easily, right? Like, they could even utilize some of the skills that Guild Wars 2 already has for their player base. So they can already do that in place. They can make money off the gem store. They literally can pick any map. It could be Alpine Borderlands map. It could be EBG. It could be a map from the PvE game. It could, you know what? In fact, a guild hall wouldn't be a bad idea. Guild halls are pretty big enough where they could maybe make it work, sort of. So they have pretty big maps in Guild Wars 2. So yeah, and even if they were to go the lazy route instead of making, if they don't want to make a map from scratch and they just made a map, a reusable map from the game, these maps are big enough. Like, Desert, Borderlands, EBG, these are big enough maps for a BR mode to play. So it's kind of very basic. They have the system. The only thing is, would they be able to do it? I don't know. The development cost for that might be a little bit hefty for them right now. But I do think if they worked on it, it would be like a no-brainer to have it. They already have the systems for it in the game. So it's not like they have to build everything from scratch. They already can utilize what they have in the game. And it would, yeah, I think it would attract some players. In fact, who knows? It could blow up similar to how Fortnite's PvP is more popular now than the PvE system, which, for those who don't know, Fortnite was originally a PvE game that became PvP because the Battle Royale sort of just, exploded in its own way and kind of went up. Could ANET capitalize on that? We'll see, right? It's not COVID, so obviously there's that thing of COVID not being there, but I think it would still be worth considering if it's an alternative, because we haven't really had a proper MMO BR. WoW now just implemented the first one, and again, very good, but they could definitely tweak some things. For example, the skills in WoW, some of them are overpowered in Plunderstorm. They could nerf some of those. The fact that it's sub-model already defeats the purpose of trying to attract a new player base, because anyone who's sub to WoW is already playing WoW, right? So very little people will want to sub to play the BR to then maybe consider moving over to the main game, retail or classic. Whereas Guild Wars 2, if it's free, they could literally like have players who are playing the BR, and then anyways, the account could be attached to the same account. So now they're a free to play account. They can even still experience Guild Wars 2. After they've experienced Guild Wars 2, maybe they make the commitment to buy the game in full. But the fact that they can play the BR mode, and after the BR mode, they also have access to play core Guild Wars 2 for free, already allows them to smoothly integrate into the MMO. Because there is no commitment, oh, I have to pay to actually access the game. They could literally go like, what's the harm in trying it? It's free. That mindset's already there. It's also there in the snowball fight in Winter's Day. Yeah, again, these are a lot of examples of where it's already part of it. Yeah. And yes, so people can try out without buying the core game. They can literally just try it out. So again, these systems are already there. My main opinion is that they already have issues keeping the game modes. They already have balance and maintain. PvP is full of what? Yeah, the thing is, this is again where it comes to development. Do they actually have the time for development cost? I'd be very optimistic to say that they do. They clearly right now are focused on a one expansion per year model, and the expansion itself is not a full expansion. It's a full expansion but split into updates, right? Like they have an initial release, and then they have 3 updates that conclude that expansion right after. So yeah, I mean, the one thing I could say is Secrets of the Obscure, this new expansion model, has at least helped with, you could say, schedule planning. I think ANET now has a proper schedule to plan accordingly. That might allow them in the future to scale it upwards. Whether or not they do is, again, that is sort of, we'll find out when they decide to or not. But right now, what we know, 2 game modes, 2 strikes, sorry. We got 2 strikes, we got 2 CMs, we got 1 fractal, 1 CM. Pretty much that's all like the big instance content that we get. Plus we get a few maps, right? We get 3 maps and the story mode. Plus achievements and lots of other reward systems that we can play around with. So that's what we have in Secrets of the Obscure. Is that going to be similar in the next expansion? Probably. They're probably going to do more gameplay implementation systems. We had the rework of the Wizard's Vault, which was a daily system, now became the sort of like free battle pass. Next expansion, maybe they rework the LFG or they work the guild. So they might choose to like have 1 or 2 features or things that they rework as a feature in the expansion, right? Maybe world restructuring is part of the new expansion, something like that. So I wouldn't say get your hopes up, but I would say it would be a great risk for ANET to consider doing their own BR mode, because their game system and their gameplay is very, very fun to do, and a BR mode for Guild Wars 2 would be very enjoyable. The combat is amazing. It feels good. The map, they have maps that they can kind of recycle into a BR way. So I think there's plenty they could do with it. And so it would be sort of like a high risk, high reward, and I would say it would be well worth doing the risk. It would not be balanced at all. Well, I assume you mean balanced in terms of like the time spent working on each game mode, right? Of course, I think that is the only problem that we have, right? Is dev cost, right? Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a big team to be able to handle maybe another mode, which is, again, this is something, if they implement it, it has to have a lot of consideration. In fact, maybe NCSoft would really need to consider injecting some money just to try it out. It's not only that, it will only attract old players as well, but the new players. I mean, here's the thing, right? For example, there was a lot of players who played Call of Duty Warzone, only the Battle Royale mode, and didn't even bother playing with the online game, right? They didn't bother playing the Team Deathmatch, the Search and Destroys. People did play it, there was cross interplay, but there is a lot of people who only chose to do Battle Royale, and it wasn't attached, right? That was the thing, it wasn't attached. So ANET could maybe make it somewhere where, you know, maybe the BR mode is not attached to the main game, so you only download the BR mode. Or maybe they run the risk of saying, you know what, download the full game. Anyway, the game is free, so it's not like someone has to like worry about, you know, downloading the game and, you know, paying money to play it. They can play it for free. Only question is like, do they have like, you know, Guild Wars 2 is about like what, 60 gigabytes to download it? If they want to download the 60 gigabytes, that would be the only question, right? But again, if you're playing the BR mode, because Guild Wars 2 is already kind of a free option, you can kind of play the free option as well. And that free option, you can play the core game, and then you might decide, yeah, I'll pay my money's worth and let me try out the expansion. It's already there for them, whereas in WoW, they didn't do it that way. They decided to make you sub for it. In other BR modes, other games, you just buy the game once and play it, or in the case of some games, you already have it as a separate entity and you don't even have to play the main game if you don't want to. Major with sniper. I really think like the way they could make it interesting is either you are picking up weapons in the game and then you just get the skills of those weapons, or you just pick up abilities or something, right? But the key thing I would stress is they have to make it simple, because simplicity would allow anyone to pick it up. The moment you have something like, okay, if you pick up a sword, you'll get this, and then you also have the skills you pick up in the game, all of a sudden that's 10 skills. That, to be honest, to me is a lot of buttons for players to press. I would say keep it 5 to 6 buttons max, or 7 buttons, whatever. But don't make it where if you pick up a weapon, you'll get the weapon skills, and then you'll also pick up utility skills from 6 to 0. I think that would be a lot. I would say simplify it. Don't try to make it where there's so many combos, because that's where you lose players. Yeah. It is a whole new game to maintain. I agree with that, which is why it's sort of like a high risk, high reward. And again, if they did decide to do it, they would require quite a lot of sort of like really a lot of thinking to see if they would even want to do it. So I agree in that sense. And the skills could be like Phantom Sprint. Could be. Could be. I mean, we've seen it, right? With the Snowball Mayhem activity, with Southland Survival, even with the toys that you get in the game. There is quite a lot that you can already get. So it's already there. The system's already there. And they have it and they can play around with it. Anyway, that's my opinions, chat. That is my opinion. I think overall, this is it. That's what I think about the BR mode. So, yeah, I mean, let me know. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you don't like it? Should it happen? All in that, inclusive of should they be able to implement it or not? Do they even have it to implement it? Honestly, I think that making the game work properly with a gamepad controller would be more pressing matter and would pave the way for more game modes and other players. I think if they did like honestly, if they did a battle royale mode, and if it's very simple enough where you can pick it up with a controller, then you can have the crossplay. Absolutely. ANET has already like for years expanded on getting a controller to work on their game. Infrastructure wise, it's been there, but for this mode specifically, this is where I would suggest if they've simplified the skills, it'd be easier to pick up, because this is actually one of the key elements why Plunderstorm has been well received from a lot of players, minus the fact that there are some things they need to change that it needs to address. But when you look at just the gameplay is fun, and when you have a fun gameplay experience, the player will stay. Why do people play it right now? Because right now in Battle Royale Plunderstorm, all you got to do is pick up literally anything, any skill, and then you're good to go. Like, I'll even show you from like the stream we did the other day. This was literally the stream on Sunday. This is the stream from Sunday. And look at this. So you basically have here. You drop in, right? You have R, which is like your auto attack. Okay, and you have T, which is like a regular heal. Everybody loads into the game with this. Everybody loads into the game with this. Your number 5 skill is like a escape skill. Like you basically like barrel roll away from the enemy, right? You pick up gold, which gives you XP, and then basically your character levels up. And you pick up skills, right? The mobs, they'll drop skills, and then you can pick them up. So if I can go to, so for example, here I picked up a skill. This skill basically allows me to deal poison damage to my enemy. So the first basically 2 minutes of the game, you're just kind of farming mobs and stuff like that. And then eventually you run into players and then you have to start killing them, right? For example, Quaking Leap is pretty much a CC, right? It's a stun actually, so it's more of like a stun. So pretty much this is how it is. So simplicity is why it's, I think, worked well for them. It's because any player can get into it. You don't even have to be a WoW player. You don't even have to play WoW to play this game. So now the skills might take a little bit getting used to, but it's not to the point where like it's rocket science. You have to memorize 100 skills. That skill, the fire skill, is honestly very difficult to play. That one is so difficult to play. It's a very OP skill. They need to like basically nerf it. And that skill is a bit hard to like time, but it's not bad. I think I die here because yeah, it's a 2-on-1 and the other guy ran away. I missed this anyway. So you see, it's very easy to get. This was like my first time playing it as well. So this is like where ANET could literally do this bit better. This is the one thing that I could say ANET could do better, because ANET's combat system is much more fun than WoW to me. Experience-wise, I'd say ANET is much more fun as a combat system. For example, this is us. And now I have a few skills. We're playing with a few skills. Killing this guy. I canceled someone's, I think, skill. So very fun, right? And to me, this is actually a lot of fun. Like right now, this is we've been enjoying this. You can also barrel roll and actually stomp the person, which is quite nice. I think I killed this player, but I then died. Yeah, that player kills me. I tried to run away, but they grabbed me. Yeah, unfortunate. That's another team even. So anyway. So again, you get the idea. It is very easy to get into. And I think that's where it make it. That's a VOD. Yeah, that's basically like from my stream on Sunday. You can catch it like literally below the panel. A new game mode, because the existing game modes need work. A new mode would be like they did since POF. If you play game mode with a controller and then you can't use a controller, it'd be confusing hell for new players. Yeah, I mean, I think again, a controller would be easier only for like a game mode like this, not so much like the actual Guild Wars 2 game. Yeah, Battlefield did fail in BR as well. It was very difficult. I think BR in Battlefield had a lot of potential. The problem is Battlefield as a game already feels like a battle royale, if you know what I mean. Like the maps are twice the size, 3 times the size of a regular Call of Duty map. So Battlefield already has that sort of BR sort of experience by the way their maps are and the way the games take place. They are very much longer games compared to your average team deathmatch in Call of Duty. So I think the BR mode didn't stick because already, you know, they have the maps on that major scale. And it kind of sucks because I think a BR mode in Battlefield would have been much more interesting than a BR in Call of Duty. ANET development mode means that they should already be rounding up the next expansion and already been for the third mini pack. I find out they would spare their development resources and commit to support the game like this long term out of blue, especially considering their development history. This is again where I think it ties into, you know, we obviously know that Arena is not a big company, right? They're not a big development company. They're very, very, you know, small scale compared to other studios, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. So, yeah. Would they develop more time for this? Probably not. This would really probably have to be a decision that goes through NCSoft. NCSoft would have to even approve a budget for this. I couldn't see like ANA just be committing devs for it. I'd say like NCSoft would even have to give them the go ahead or not. Which again, yeah, that would be like a sort of, you know, business decision they'd have to make whether or not they'd even consider the risk. Especially because now they do have, yes, they do have the expansion models, and they just introduced it, right? So I think they'd rather like at least settle into this probably before anything like that and it gets thrown over. Yeah. The BR for Call of Duty is already unplayable because 6% cheaters are there. Yeah, unfortunately there's that in even Fortnite. I think it's even worse than Fortnite. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts though on this. So let me know. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Guild Wars 2 Battle Royale, yes or no? What do you think about it? Let me know. Until next time, gamers. See you and take care.